Okay. Do a little bit of daily Bible reading real quick. Sleep deprived, so y'all work with me now. Y'all know these crackers ain't making it easy on a nigga, man. So today, nothing crazy. This is gonna be 1 Kings chapter 7, where I left off last time. I'm probably just gonna read 2 chapters because I'm dog tired today. Get some sleep. Nigga slightly sleep deprived and shit, man. Alright. Hold on, give me a second, man. Let me blow my goddamn nose. Motherfucker flew out. Damn. Alright, to the brother who I just met at the car wash spot, I don't know. Some people, I guess, had that settings to where they allow themselves to be interacted with as a subscriber. I tried to look for you to subscribe back to you, just out of a respectful gesture. Excuse me. If you make a comment, if you make a comment on this video, you can isolate yourself, and then I can force interact with your profile through me clicking it, because as of this point, I not only can't see my own subscribers, but I can only subscribe to the people who I'm assuming, based on the settings, the privacy settings of their own YouTube accounts, allow me to see that they've subscribed to me. And then obviously from there I can subscribe back to them. So anyway, let us begin. I just didn't want you thinking I was some kind of bourgeois rude ass nigga, like, you know, you follow me and I don't follow you back. I'm not like that, bro. Chapter 7. But Solomon was building his own highs 13 years, and he finished all his highs. He built also the highs of the forest of Lebanon. The length thereof was 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, with cedar beams upon the pillars. And it was covered with cedar upon the beams that lay on 45 pillars, 15 a row. And there were windows in 3 rows. Light was against light in 3 ranks. I had to make sure my Bluetooth wasn't connected. Light was against light in 3 ranks, and all of the doors and posts were square, with the windows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And all of the doors and posts were square, with the windows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And he made a perch of pillars, the length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits. And the porch was before them, and the other pillars and the thick beam were before them. Then he made a porch for the throne, where he might judge, even a porch of judgment. And it was covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. And his house where he dwelt, and another coat within the porch, which was of the like work, Solomon made also an house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife, like unto his porch. All these were of costly stones, according to the measures of hewed stones, sawed with saws within and without, even from the foundation unto the coping, and so on the outside toward the great cope. And the foundation was of costly stones, even great stones, stones of 10 cubits and stones of 8 cubits, and above were costly stones, after the measures of hewed stones and cedars. And the great coat round about was with 3 rows of hewed stones and a row of cedar beams, both for the inner court of the house of the Lord, and for the porch of the house. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre, or Tyre, Tyre. He was a widowed son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all the works in brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all of his work. For he cast 2 pillars of brass and 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. And he made 2 chapiters of molten brass to set up on the tops of the pillars. The height of the one chapiter was 5 cubits, and the height of the other chapiter was 5 cubits, and nets of checker work, and wreaths of chain work for the chapiters were upon the top of the pillars, 7 for the one chapter, and 7 for the other chapter. And he made the pillars in 2 rows round about upon the one net work to cover the chapiters that were upon the top with pomegranates, and so did he for the other chapiter. And the chapiters that were upon the top of the pillars were of lily work, and the porch 4 cubits. And the chapiters upon the 2 pillars had pomegranates also over against the belly, which was by the network, and the pomegranates were 200 in rows round about upon the other chapiter. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up the right pillar, and called the name thereof Ichin. And he set up the left pillar, and called the name thereof Boaz. And upon the top of the pillars was lily work, so was the work of the pillars finished. And he made a molten sea 10 cubits from one brim to the other, and it was round all about, and its height was 5 cubits, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it around about. And under the brim of it round about there were nopes compassing it, 10 in a cubit compassing the sea round about. The knops were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking towards the south, and 3 looking towards the east. And the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. And it was an handbreadth thick, and the brim thereof was wrought like the brim of a cup, with flowers of lilies. It contained 2,000 baths. And he made 10 bases of brass. 4 cubits was the length of one base, and 4 cubits the breadth thereof, and 3 cubits the height of it. And the work of the bases was on this manner. They had borders, and the borders were between the ledges. And on the borders that were between the ledges were lions, oxen, and cherubims, and upon the ledges there was a base above. And beneath the lions and oxen were certain additions made of thin work, and every base had 4 brazen wheels. And plates of brass, and the 4 corners thereof had undersetters. Yeah, I'm just reading one chapter. I'm sleeping. I'm messing up. Apologize, too. I normally don't read this, undersetters, molten at the side of every edition. And the mouth of it within the chapiter and above was a cubit, but the mouth thereof was round after the work of the base, and cubit and a half. And also upon the mouth of it were gravings with their borders 4 square, not round. And under the borders were 4 wheels, and the axle trees of the wheels were joined to the base, and the height of a wheel was a cubite and half a cubite, and the work of the wheels was like the work of a chariot wheel. The axle trees and their naves, and their fellows and their spokes were all molten. And there were 4 undersetters to the 4 corners of one base, and the undersetters were of every base itself. And in top of the base was a round compass of half a cubite high, and on top of the base, the ledges thereof and the borders thereof were the same. For try to get some light on it. For on the plates of the ledges thereof and on the borders thereof, he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees according to the proportion of everyone in additions round about. After this manner, he made the 10 bases. All of them had one cast and one measure and one size. Then made he 10 layers of brass. One layer contained 40 baths, and every layer was 4 cubites, and upon every one of the 10 bases, one layer. And he put 5 bases on the right side of the highest and 5 on the left side of the highest. And he set on the sea. He set the sea on the right side of the highest eastward, over against the south. And Hiram made the layers and the shovels and basins. So Hiram made an end of doing all the work that he made King Solomon for the house of the Lord. The 2 pillars and the 2 bowls of the chapiters that were on top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 networks to cover the 2 bowls of the chapiters which were upon the pillars. And 400 pomegranates for the 2 networkers, even 2 rows of pomegranates for one network to cover the 2 bowls of the chapiters that were upon the pillars. And the 10 bases and 10 layers on the bases, and 1 sea and 12 oxen under the sea. And the pots and the shovels and the basins and the vessels which Hiram made to King Solomon for the house of the Lord were bright brass. And the plain of Jordan did the king cast them in the clay ground between Succoth and Zarthan. And Solomon left all the vessels unweighed, because they were exceeding many. Neither was the weight of the brass fine dyed. Solomon made all the vessels that pertained unto the house of the Lord, the altar of gold, and the table of gold whereupon the shewbread was. And the candlesticks of pure gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left before the oracle, and the flowers and the lamps and the tongues of gold, and the bowls and the snuffers and the basins and the spoons and the censers of pure gold, and the hinges of gold, both of the doors of the inner house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the house, to wit, of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated. Even the silver and the gold and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. Chapter 8 we will do tomorrow, because I'm sleepy. And that was started here. This is chapter 7. So it was a little lengthy. Chapter 7 was a little lengthy, man. I wasn't expecting it to be that long. But nonetheless, good read. The takeaway is that I feel like gold is a very precious, probably more precious, naturally occurring mineral and metal than diamonds. Just going off of how it is used so commonly in the Bible, it seems like that seems to be almost an expression of God in a degree. In a degree, right? So before I say too much, I do want to wrap it up, because I haven't read further, and with just one chapter, I don't expect to have just a mass amount of understanding. So instead of me trying to or potentially leading y'all wrong, I'd rather just humbly bow out. Anywho, I hope you all are blessed. Stay safe. God bless, and keep God first. Amen.